Spartans, tonight we're watching some PointlessHub videos, okay? We're not going to war. How's it going, folks? Jack here. I have had a bunch of PointlessHub requests to check out, and one amongst these was 300, a perfect movie from 2007 made by Snyder. Saying that together doesn't quite make sense with, well, a lot of his recent work. And no, I did not come up here dressed in sport attire simply because I was going to be talking about a movie filled with muscly men. It is purely a coincidence. I just came out from trying to hoop. In any of the circumstances, there is a recent thing going on here with a Superman movie that is coming up very soon, and I have also been asked to share my opinions about that. And a lot of people are kind of using the James Gunn movie as like a way to say that some people hate Zack Snyder and vice versa with Gunn as well. I don't really see the director hate. I kind of judge them based on their work, and I do admit that there are certain things about Snyder that I don't quite appreciate, but some that I find to be absolutely magnificent, as for example his way of pretty much interpreting a comic page per page, which, for those who might not know, this might be a little bit spoilery here, I don't know which way Cody is going to go with the video. The movie is straight up an inspiration from a comic book, and that is to literally everybody who has been arguing about the historical accuracy of 300 the movie. Like, I want to say that there is a 60s version of 300, the 300 Spartans is literally called, my dad has that, who, bless the man, who through some sheer, okay, it's because he's a boomer, but he collects a lot of physical media, which is a thing, of course, that today we're kind of all envious of. I've watched that movie with my dad, and I think that even that one has more historical accuracy in contrast to what Zack Snyder was trying to do. That being said, please do make sure to go and subscribe to Cody's channel, and of course, let's get into this one.
It's 2007. You're browsing this newfangled site called YouTube, watching the dumbest videos in 240p, and among those videos of unicorns named Charlie, dramatic rodents, and anime AMVs synced to Linkin Park, there's always one line that you come across. Something that you just couldn't escape in late 2000s.
It's either Linkin Park, Breaking Benjamin, right? Every single Halo gameplay had, oh my god, what was the name of the song? Only the strongest will survive. And bloody 3 days grace. Pain. Every single Naruto AMVs. Which, by the way, they did have a concert where Adam Gontier, the lead singer of 3 Days Grace, sang alongside Breaking Benjamin. It was wonderful. It's one of those events where you go like, where was this in my childhood? But yeah, I miss those days. Anyways.
Pop culture. This is
Sparta!
300 is a fascinating film. Even though it wasn't the biggest movie of the year, you could not escape it. It's something that's been kind of forgotten to time, only left preserved in old YouTube videos made in Flash and Windows Movie Maker. It was a concoction of energy that couldn't help but be parodied.
Assault them! Shoot is better officer who the hardest!
300 is based on comic by...
How do I remember every single line of this bloody thing? It's ingrained in my soul.
Frank Miller.
Get out of my house!
Oh yeah.
You either know who he is, or you don't. He's been in the comic industry for decades. In 1997, he made a limited series called 300, based loosely on the ancient Battle of Thermopylae.
Loosely?
The keyword here is loosely. Sorry if you came here expecting some comparison between 300 and the real battle, like a historical CinemaSins or something. This isn't that type of video. By this...
Excuse you? Please, do not compare yourself to CinemaSins. Never. CinemaSins has heard the literacy of so many people for so many years. It is incredible the amount of damage that they made on movie literacy. I gotta get parodying certain things, and I know that they are meant to be funny, but the amount of time that people are huffing copium to try to justify some of the weird things that they say under the pretense that it is meant for comedy, when they actually don't set a lot of the criticism up as being comedic and or super inconsistent. No, please, Cody, don't go there.
Point, I'd assume most people understand this isn't accurate at all. If this is the first time you're hearing about this, then wow, I'm sorry, man. Read a book or something. No, the Persians didn't fight with giant trollmen or bladed demons. Xerxes wasn't an 8-foot-tall demigod. The Immortals weren't evil goblins. They looked like this.
Yep.
And the Spartans wore armor, not
Definitely.
just leather underwear. 300 is first and foremost a fantasy, as fantastical as Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. All of these were purposeful creative decisions by the movie or Miller himself. And if we want to understand the movie, we're gonna have to do the one thing that nobody ever does when talking about 300. Let's talk about the comic.
He animated his mouth, right? I'm not the... That's very strange. I'm sorry, but continue.
When Frank Miller was a wee lad, he watched a film called The 300 Spartans.
Here we stay. And here we stand. For how long? Until we win!
You can say he was a fan. He said in an interview that it changed the course of his creative life. I tried to get more information on what that meant, but any link to that interview is dead. So that sucks. I also caught COVID in between recordings, so I sound like this now. So that double sucks. Gonna have to just take Wikipedia at its word. After watching the 300 Spartans and coughing my brain out, you know, I could see how it'd have some influence. It's kind of funny how tame the depiction of the Persians are compared to 300. It's like...
Yo, what did I say? Quite literally, in terms of the costumes, is a way more accurate. And then you have stripper Xerxes. Come to me, my minion.
Night and day. The 300 Spartans is a pretty solid movie, but just like a lot of films of the time, it's more sanitized than Mr. Clean.
Hey, this is a really good war. They say Xerxes has brought 100 nations with him.
The Spartans get along with everyone. They're like the loyal vanguard of united Greece. So in 300, the Spartans were now rough and brutal. They killed babies. The aspect of their almost psychotic devotion to militarism is on full display.
Yeah.
They're still noble, but not in that clean-cut 1960s way.
But the 60s also had this whole thing. What did we call it? Oh yeah, the Hays Code, the whole prohibition kind of attitude where actors weren't allowed to do a hell of a lot of things like kissing for too long, showing sexual relations, discussing certain topics, and the bad guys definitely should not ever be in a winning position. Like, all those things were part of cinema back then, and yeah, it truly sanitized things. It was only like through certain avant-garde people, like the French, where we actually got to push the envelope a little bit. France, always ahead of his time.
They look like they've seen 1,000 battles. Their superiority complex is cranked up to 11. The only thing Miller didn't include was the Spartans' rampant use of slavery, which by his admittance he knew happened, he just didn't want people to completely hate them. Personally, I think he should have went all the way. Release the slavery cut, Miller. The actual comic is so short though, I don't know where he'd fit it in. The politics of this world really don't matter. It's just minor set dressing. The story is just a band of soldiers marching to a place, fighting for a little bit, and then dying.
The art style is greedy, I love it.
It's fantastic. George Miller's angular style really elevates the story in a way that the movie just can't. They're like angular, muscular cavemen. These faces are brutish and tired. It isn't until they put on the helmet and line up in formation where any semblance of Spartan glory actually appears. The comic's just full of striking silhouettes. Like, for instance, Xerxes. Why does he look like that? Well, in the comic, the main aspect of his design are those chains. He isn't even really drawn a lot. He's more like a negative space illuminated by gold. No, it's not accurate, but it is surreal.
That goes hard. I'm sorry, but that line there goes pretty hard. But that's also the kind of thing that a person, a dude, an absolute saint like Zack Snyder will salivate over. Anything that has that kind of flashiness to it. that he wants to interpret, right? He wants to include that in his work. And granted, he does it justice.
And that's what I describe the comic as. One that's attempting to be a stark difference from the clean movie that inspired Miller in the first place. And while I do like what the movie does, I can't help but feel after reading the comic that some aspects were just lost in translation. But that's just the nature of live action. Which, oh hey, I should probably talk about the movie now. 300 the movie is always just compared to the actual historical battle itself. But like, 300 is first and foremost an adaptation of a comic. A comic inspired by a 1960s movie, loosely inspired by at least a few centuries of interpretation on a battle with a lot of historical baggage. A long game of telephone adaptation, and this movie does have a lot of baggage attached to it. There are some controversial elements that can't be left unsaid. We have to talk about something this movie has perpetuated since—
Wait a minute, in Zack Snyder's 300, the Greeks don't want no freaks. Oh, yeah, sure. The malformed soldier. But what was the thing here? While 300 is getting a 4K release, it is important to look back at a film and a comic book critical for homophobic, racist, and ableist portrayal. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what they did. Don't pull a Disney, okay, and remove a movie just because there was some problematic aspect into it. Now, they do something quite nice sometimes, because I, for instance, will watch like old Disney movies with my daughter now, because that's pretty much the only things that we can watch together, except for Bluey. Bluey's kind of nice. I actually like that show.
Never judge a book by its cover.
This is true.
Like, some of the old Disney movies do contain some like problematic elements, which of course they always leave a note at the start of it, because they have a different version of them, for example, that is a bit more sanitized, but the original remained there. So that's pretty nice. But then you will have stuff like the Togo movie, right? Which is literally the best adaptation of a story that was made wrong, right? Bolto, if you've ever heard of that one, right? In 2019, they made Togo starring Willem Dafoe. That movie was aired and suddenly it just got snapped away. No longer available. Why? Because fucking Disney. So please, just don't remove the original.
Can't be left unsaid. We have to talk about something this movie has perpetuated since it first came out in 2007.
Zack Snyder.
Oh, him.
Oh boy, Zack Snyder. He had done one movie before 300, the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which was apparently written by James Gunn. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and there starts the feud.
300 was going to be the first film where his recognizable style could really blossom, an opportunity for his cocoon to crack, and a Zack Snyder butterfly to finally come out. What the f*** is this analogy? If I could describe Zack Snyder in a single word, I would describe him as pure. Look at that man. Not a single thought is going on in that head. And that's why we love him. Yeah. That's right. This is a Zack Snyder friendly space. He is very much a visual person. Like 90% of his brain is made up of stylish cinematography, and the other 10% is color grading.
True. That's well put. What the fuck is that? Put me some flashy lights, some pretty pictures, and some Jesus allegory once in a while. Fucking Rebel Moon. Okay, no. I need to stop myself. It's not a slight against Zack, okay? It's just that when you show so much beautiful potential, you know what he does to me? I'm gonna say this, and this might offend some people. He delivers the Ubisoft experience.
Kill him!
It's not that the thing that I'm watching is bad. Not at all. Even the adaptation, visually, is very striking and I like it. However, the essence, there's so much that you're constantly left thinking, you could have done this so much better. Why do you have all of this good stuff and the rest is shit? Why? Why do you do this? And I see that with every single movie, from Sucker Punch to even Watchmen. Watchmen was, okay, granted, you've seen what Snyder did with that. You can have all of these things, even when you take some creative liberty in an adaptation of a comic book movie. is fine, but man, at least write a script that is better.
Today, the name Zack Snyder cracks open the earth beneath internet nerds' feet, and I just find that hilarious. There's just something about this man that makes people lose their minds. Probably the decade or so of questionable films.
Why did you say that name?
Snyder's relationship with WB is an epic as fascinating as the Greek poems themselves. You could say it would eventually encompass the entire studio, maybe even Hollywood in general. I'm not going to say a word about the DCEU, but I will say that everything going on with this can be traced back to this, with a funny little man who just wanted to bring a funny little comic to life. Literally. If you watch the movie, you have basically read the comic.
Yeah.
Shots, entire lines.
Ready your breakfast and eat hearty.
Tonight, we're dining in hell.
Most of the script ripped right out of the comic. Snyder loved it so darn much, he did everything to change it as little as possible.
And that's the thing. To me, okay, maturing is realizing that although you will desire to your heart's desire truly to see everything adapted perfectly from a comic book, shot by shot, that word by word might not always be what you want.
Like as little as possible. Panels from the comic were used as storyboard references, and shots were built directly from that. And honestly, who can blame him? The comic looked good.
Yeah.
Snyder knew that. And then he went on to do the same thing with Watchmen.
Watchmen, yeah.
Unlike that movie, 300 was really the perfect project for him to get his hands on. It was a simple story that lent itself to exaggeration, hyper-violence, and most importantly, style. Truly, the peak Snyder film. 300 is officially called an American epic historical action film, but I think its true genre should just be called Fuck Yeah.
Fuck
Because
yeah!
that's really the main emotion this movie tries to evoke. Fuck yeah, hell yeah, hot damn, oorah. This is the definition of a power fantasy. And that's all Zack Snyder thought while directing it. How do I make this look as cool as possible? And also, how do I make this as faithful to the comic as possible?
Yeah.
There is an overuse of bloom and sepia tones, all meant to evoke the often bright backgrounds of the original panels. 300 is a world of computer-generated backgrounds, slow motion, more filters than a TikTok livestream, and a truly banger soundtrack. And in my humble opinion, I think it works. You know, in that caveman brain sense. Meat, cigar, Tim Allen grunt. Yeah, in a decade, this movie has not visibly aged great. It's very clearly all shot on green screens, and you could argue the entire visual language of this movie has been made fun of to death, but to me, this has only enhanced the experience. No movie has ever looked like this again, nor would it ever dare to. The closest comparison I could possibly make is Spy Kids 3D.
What? Okay, you know what? It's fair. Because I would have cited a few comic book adaptations that kind of went there, from Watchmen to Sin City. But no, because Sin City actually made use of a hell of a lot of practical effects and not just CG. So I I stand corrected.
And I say that as a compliment. That's a compliment. 300 at its core is an ancient horde game mode. This goes on for about 3 days until the Spartans are betrayed by Quasimodo and they're gunned down in the streets. There are no character arcs in 300.
Nope.
Character arcs are for the weak, but there are characters, or as best as characters as there could be.
Like
there are faces,
10
separate
people.
faces. So let's talk about those faces.
Leonidas.
King Leo, the big cheese, the meme himself. Leonidas is the best part of this movie, and I didn't need to tell you that. In the greater pop culture sphere, Leonidas is really remembered for those bombastic moments. And those moments rock. Such raw anger and drive in each line. It sounds both incredibly badass and also unintentionally hilarious. And that's what 300 is all about. That's what we're fighting for.
Male fantasy.
Yet as famous as this line was, nobody ever knew what the hell this giant hole was.
Oh well. You can see the thing to pull water with. I mean, come on. You would have been dumb to miss that. And also, as somebody who likes a lot of animation that deal with the Greek pantheon, there was the Blood of Zeus season 3 recently that I just finished watching that actually showcased this pit where Kronos, the primordial father of the actual god, right, of Zeus and his brethren, tosses Ares and Hephaestus into as a means to not just destroy their physical bodies, but also their souls, because nothing can escape from the void. And so you have something similar to that the people then would employ as a means of killing their enemies, which was a thing that the Spartans actually did historically.
Why did they have this here? Seems a little dangerous. It's a well. It's meant to be a well. In the histories, the Greeks really did kill their Persian diplomats, and the Spartans threw theirs down a well. In true 300 fashion, this is exaggerated as much as possible.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny how many of the most badass lines in this fantasy movie were said to have actually happened.
Lay down your weapons! Come and get them!
Even inspired a certain flag that if you're Texan, you're probably familiar with. Or even this exchange.
I didn't know that.
Our arrows will blot out the sun.
They will fight in the shade.
That line actually came straight
That
from
one
the
is
60s
badass.
movie.
Our arrows will blot out the sun. Then we will fight in the shade.
But it was something Leonidas said to one of his own men,
Oh.
not a Persian. But while Leo does a lot of the screaming
animated
throughout the movie,
mouth.
he has another side too, which I entirely forgot about until rewatching it.
He's a jerk.
He's usually just a smartass.
Slaughtering all those men of yours has left a nasty crack in my leg, so...
Gerard Butler does a lot with a few facial expressions and head tilts, never breaking that Spartan emotional wall. I couldn't fit this in anywhere, but I was listening to the 300 commentary, and Zack Snyder kept referring to Gerard Butler as Jerry.
Jerry.
And Jerry looks like he's in pretty good shape in that shot right there.
And I thought that was the funniest
King
thing
of the
ever.
Spartans.
All hail Jerry,
Jerry.
King of the Spartans.
Others.
A thing that I found to be extremely hilarious, the older I grew and the more I thought about 300, was the physicality of the characters. Obviously, a lot of people who watch 300 were thinking to themselves, you know what, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna get so buff just like them and be like, yeah, that's the peak physical male look right there. And then I freaking realized that, hello, your dad and his friends will watch like Arnold Classic and be like, yeah, those are big ass dudes. But then, of course, those were enhanced individuals. These were men who actually worked through things and got in shape. Now, it is questionable whether or not they did that naturally because Hollywood, but the older I grew, the point that I'm trying to get at is that I realized that these physiques were actually easily attainable, but just with a hell of a lot of consistency. Like, that's a little bit of humble brag here. That's more or less how I look, like, all year round. And that's just what you get at if you watch what you eat. And like, just like Snyder himself, he's a pretty fit guy. But I guess he's just consistent.
Zack Snyder kept referring to Gerard Butler as Jerry.
And Jerry looks like he's in pretty good shape in that shot right there.
And I thought that was the funniest thing ever. All hail Jerry, King of the Spartans.
And of course, go to the gym, okay? You're not going to
Michael
build
Fassbender was in this. I don't
muscle
remember that. He looks pretty hilarious.
We are with you, sire!
by just hooping.
For Sparta! For freedom! To the death!
Despite there being 300 Spartans, they only focus on like 4. There's a father and son pair, Leonidas' second in command, literally just named
Captain,
who brings along his oldest son named Astinos, a name that is not
Oh,
Greek.
yeah.
The Greek historian who was working on the movie wondered where the hell Snyder got that name from, and Snyder said he named him after his Aston Martin. That's incredible. Poor Aston Martin.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And then there's Dilios, the only surviving
Survivor.
Spartan of the 300, sent by Leonidas to tell their story to the rest of Greece. And Dilios, he sure does. Even the parts where he wasn't even there. Did Dilios make up the fact that Leonidas' last thought was of his wife? Who's to say? He probably made up a bunch of things. He's got an active imagination. If you really want to think about it, 300's kind of just from Dilios's imagination. I really want to know what the rest of the ancient world looks like from his perspective. What are the Gauls like in the 300 world? Are they giant, monstrous gingers?
Yeah.
Are the Egyptians cat people?
Cat people?
Maybe
Furries.
the Scythians of the Eurasian steppe are literal centaurs. Call me WB, I have ideas. Now, I haven't watched 300 in a while, so while watching this, I thought, man, Dilios' voice is really familiar. Where have I heard that before? And then it clicked.
From the time he could stand, he was baptized in the fire of combat. Long I pondered my king's cryptic talk.
That's a show, right? He's narrating a show that I know of. What the fuck is that?
A victory.
Combat Engine was created by Robert Daly, a
Oh!
former Green Beret and designer of
Warrior,
military-based video games.
What the fuck
He's
is
the
called?
narrator of Deadliest Warrior.
Deadly Warrior.
Hell yeah, it's all connected, baby. Honestly, it makes sense. I would imagine that 300 and Deadliest Warrior had a pretty big overlap.
Oh shit.
Hell, I wouldn't be shocked if 300 inspired Deadliest Warrior.
Monuments, no poems of war and valor.
Designer of more than 30 military-based video games.
Speaking of historical inaccuracy, I feel like there's something else. Something I've been putting off. Oh yeah.
Oh no. No.
Yeah, the Persians. The Persians were certainly something.
No.
Every corner of the empire.
I hate that. I hate that frame with every fiber of my being. Why did they do this? Why? That is so nasty.
Persians were certainly something.
Oh my days.
300 is one of those movies you either really love or really hate. And I mean, hey, I love it. Flaws and all. It certainly has a style. And when things work, they really work well. It's got some problems for sure, but don't look at that. Don't look at it. For me, I was too young to watch 300 in theaters. The only thing I knew of it for years was that
memes.
Sparta meme, and any vague ideas that came from cultural osmosis. I think for a while I knew more about 300 from Meet the Spartan trailers than the actual movie.
Oh shit. Oh my god, Mr. Spartan was funny as fuck.
I was so disappointed when Mumble from Happy Feet didn't show up, or Baby Shrek, or a fucking Transformer. It was actually the first rated R movie I'd ever seen. I watched it at a buddy of mine's house. It was one of the 4 things I still remember watching there. The other things were District 9, The Dark Knight, and that episode where Gus Fring dies in Breaking Bad.
We still have not gotten the sequel to District 9. When is that alien gonna keep his promise? Never. I should have given hope a while ago.
I had never seen Breaking Bad before. That was the first episode I had ever saw. He just put it on. Fuck you, Caleb. Anyway, 300. You know, I thought it was good. Honestly, the main thing it really did was just make me super interested in the ancient world. There was a lot of Spartan resurgence after this movie came out. Oh boy. I had never even given the period much thought before then. I mean, for a kid, what else was there for ancient Greece? Hercules? And at the end of the day, that's what any historical fiction is good for. Even the bad ones. Establishing a mood or energy that makes you just want to explore this time period even more. And then you do, and you realize, oh wow, Athens did some war crimes. And man, that first movie was some anti-Athens propaganda, I tell you what.
And of those philosophers and boy lovers.
And I think a lot of people behind 300 realized how harshly the Athenians were treated.
Boy lovers.
And maybe even the
Them motherfuckers in the gymnasium. Excuse me, I'm not supposed to say that. I should say boy lovers.
Versions. Because 7 years later, we got a sequel.
For glory's sake.
Oof. I mean, Ava Green. And always full bush. Keep going, keep going. Okay, quick question I need to ask some of you. Is it weird to have a feeling every single time that she shows up on screen where I'm blushing? It's like, why is she staring into my soul? Like, very few actresses have this thing where I'm like smitten. But like Eva Green has that look about her that, okay, fine, sell me whatever the fuck you want to sell. She's great and she's also fucking gorgeous. Anyways, 300 was a great movie despite the fact that it might sound as if I was trash talking Snyder a lot. I don't mean to. I have my gripes with some of the work that he does, but it was great. That being said, the sequel, questionable. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this one. As always, please do make sure to go and subscribe to Cody's channel. And if you like the commentary and all the reaction, hit the like button and subscribe as well. That being said, wish you all to have a wonderful day. See you guys in the next one. Bye.